What's up, gardeners? Welcome back to the jungle. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. You guys are getting a glimpse inside my kitchen, my messy, chaotic, builder grade kitchen. And if you already watched my dehusking video and learned how to dehusk a coconut, and now you're ready to learn what to do with it next, what I do with it next, just go ahead and watch this video. So in this video, you'll learn how to turn this coconut, your freshly harvested one, into this. Some beautiful, fresh, homemade coconut milk that you can use for drinking, cooking, baking, whatever you use it for. But anything you would use milk for, especially coconut milk, this is how you can make it with your own homegrown coconut milk, a step-by-step guide. So watch and enjoy. All right, so the first step here in this process is get your coconut. Hopefully you've already dehusked it, either using my method or somebody else's dehusking method. Or maybe you've bought a coconut at the store that's already dehusked, in which case you've got a head start. So the first thing you want to do is find those 3 little holes at the end of the coconut, and we're going to open those holes. So I have this really thin, flat butter knife that I just happen to have that works perfectly for this. But use whatever tool you have. If you're somebody who likes your gadgets and you've got an electric screwdriver that you want to use to open these holes much quicker and more easily than me, that's your choice. Try not to cut yourself, by the way. So use whatever implement you have that you can do so safely with it, and go ahead and pry open at least 2 of the holes. I was working on all 3 to find the easiest 2 to pry open. So we're going to pry those open, and once we do that, we're going to drain the liquid out of it. So I'm having some trouble here, so I'm eventually going to get another implement. I like to put a towel under the coconut when I'm doing this, just in case I, spill some liquid, some of the coconut water, or just because it's such a messy process, I want to make sure that I will have an easy cleanup. So I put a towel down, makes cleanup after doing this whole process much easier. So you're going to open that coconut using whatever method works for you. And in this case, I'm going to get one of my other favorite tools to finish this process, which is a reusable chopstick that I have. So I'm going to just poke open the last few holes here. And once those holes are open, I'm going to be able to drain the fluid out. So working on that a little more. These holes can be tricky. Still working on it. We'll get there eventually. All right, and you can see we've got it open. We've got our holes exposed. So now what we need to do is empty out that coconut liquid. So go ahead and get a jar or whatever you want to put it in. If you don't want the coconut water, if you don't want to save it, you can just dump this down the sink, your choice. And then I'm going to put a strainer there, because when we empty out this coconut water, the little pieces of coconut will come out with it. So we're just trying to strain it out. Just empty it out there. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. You got to reopen the holes because it gets plugged up with that coconut meat that you already put in there. Just drain out your fluid. And the younger the coconut is, the more coconut water you'll get out of it. This is an older coconut. This is one that was mature enough that the coconut palm dropped it to the ground itself. I didn't have to go up there and climb up and pull it off. It came off on its own. So this is about all the liquid we're getting from it. That's about it. But it's still enough to put in my smoothies for a little extra hydration. So it's all emptied. Now you're ready for the next step. The next step is to crack it open. So there's a few different methods you can use to crack it open, your choice. I'm going to show you my husband's favorite method, cracking it open with the knife, and then I'll show you my favorite method. So this is his favorite. He likes to just take that big knife and whack at it. And he goes barehanded, but I like to use a little towel so I don't hurt my hand. And you can see we've decapitated it nicely, but I don't have the skill to take the meat out just with it decapitated like that, so I'm going to now show you my method for cracking it the rest of the way. So you could use the knife the rest of the way like that, but I'm going to do a method that I much prefer. So come with me as we try the other method. So I'm going out to my garage floor because I don't want to damage my tiles in the house. I'm going to cover the coconut up with my towel and just whack it on the floor as hard as you can. Just whack it. Ball it up in that towel, whack it. Get out your frustrations and your anger about the election or whatever you're upset about, healthcare, and there you go. Smash it until it's broken into a bunch of smaller pieces, and now we can get the coconut meat off. So again, I have this perfect little flat butter knife that works really well for this, so I'm going to use it to just scoop between the flesh and the shell. Just get in there and pry it off just like that. It doesn't always come off that easily, sometimes it's harder. And I'm going to proceed to do that with the rest of the pieces. So just pry it off. Again, there might be a tool out there that's perfect and designed just for this, but like I tried to tell you guys in some of my other videos, I'm not here to sell gadgets. I don't make money off this channel. I make no money from it. So I use what I already have whenever possible. I try to find some tool I already have in my house to help me do something without spending more money and using more materials, having more of an impact on the planet, just however we can reduce our impact. So I've had this butter knife for, I don't know, 20 years, and it works perfectly. So as you can see, that came off nicely. I haven't hurt myself yet. Again, don't hurt yourself. If you do, please don't blame it on me if you try this at home. And again, we're just getting behind that coconut milk, that coconut meat, prying it off from the shell, scooching in there. This takes some serious elbow grease. You will get a workout doing this, so it'll help you burn off all the calories you're going to get drinking that coconut milk, which is high in saturated fats. So not the healthiest milk out there, but if it's free, it's for me. So there's another piece. Now that darker brown piece left on the back of the coconut meat, that's okay if you're not eating it, which we're not eating the coconut. It's okay to eat even. It's just not a great texture, but we're not, yeah, that right there, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But we're not going to be eating this. What I'm using this for is the coconut milk. So there you have that part that can go in your compost. You do tappy nails. People seem to like the tappy nails. Yep, gotta tap on it. So you can put the pieces of shell in your compost or use them for some kind of arts and crafts project. I don't know, you do you. But this is me. I'm just gonna compost it once I get all the coconut flesh off. All right, so once you have all your coconut meat, there it is. And you've got your shells that you can compost or turn into bowls or mermaid bras, hula bras, whatever you want to do with it. Next step is to go ahead and rinse that off. You got all those little husk powder stuck on it because this was a messy process to get that out of there. So just rinse all that husk powder off. Give it a good rinse, nice and clean. And then we're going to be ready to make our coconut milk. So go ahead and put it in your blender. And once you have it in the blender, we are going to add water. So it's just coconut meat and water is all I put in my coconut milk. I have here some reverse osmosis water because we are on a well. So we use reverse osmosis filtration to make sure the well water is safe to drink. And the amount of water you want to put in there, it's up to you. I just do enough to cover the coconut meat. If you want it thinner, you do more water. If you want your milk thicker, do less water. It's up to you. This is really subjective. This is for you to play with and find what you want. No comments on my messy Vitamix, please. This blender is to our home. So every now and then check on it, stop, give it a look, just make sure it's nice and good. If you have anything that doesn't look homogeneous, like you open the top and it looks separated, it's not ready. You want it to look really homogeneous. So now you're going to get your nut milk bag. So you can get these off of Amazon or wherever you want to buy your nut milk bag from, but get a nut milk bag, nut milk strainer, and put that into a bowl, medium-sized bowl, whatever you got. And you're going to just pour that mixture that you've been blending right into your nut milk bag. So just pour that in. Try not to make a mess. And once you've got that in, you're going to go ahead and strain the nut milk out. So you're just going to pick up that bag and just squeeze it. It's really fun, really relaxing. I imagine a lot more pleasant than milking a cow, because you don't have to worry about a creature getting upset and kicking you. And it's just nice and relaxing. Again, you can get out more of your frustrations while you're squeezing the milk out of the nut pulp. Just imagine it's somebody you don't like, or something you don't like. And just squeeze until there's no more liquid coming out, or only very little liquid, until you no longer have dripping. That's when you're going to be done with it. So that's pretty good there. That is pretty strained and looking pretty good. And now I like to save my nut pulp. So I get another container to put my nut pulp in. And what I do with it, it's up to you. There's different recipes you can use. You can cook it up in certain ways, use it for baking, turn it into coconut flour, dehydrate it. But what I like to do is I use it for my pets. So my dogs specifically really enjoy the coconut pulp. In fact, they are in the kitchen with me the whole time I was making this video because they love the coconut milk. But before we do that, go ahead and pour your coconut milk into your vessel. So you see it? It looks beautiful, very homogeneous. It will separate in the fridge, and you'll have to shake it up for sure anytime before you use it. It will separate it. That's natural. If you don't want it to separate, you can use guar gum or some other kind of stabilizer, thickener when you blend it up, but I didn't. I don't mind the separation. We just give it a shake before we use it. So I'm putting it into an antique milk bottle, actually. Those are the ones they used for dairy milk, that they would bring it and put it on your doorstep. Got it from my grandma's house when she passed away years ago, and I've kept it ever since. I love my antique milk bottle. Beautiful glass milk bottle. So I pour it in there. And then I'm gonna need a second jar because I made a little bit too much coconut milk to fit in my antique milk bottle. Any jar will do, any vessel you have, and it doesn't have to be glass. If you don't mind using plastic, use whatever you got. This is just what I have on hand. And now the puppies get their treat of nut pulp. They love this stuff, and I don't give them a lot. It is high in saturated fats, so they only get a little bit at a time. They get a couple little balls of nut pulp each day. It's a great treat for them. They will do tricks for it. And I can also just sprinkle it on their food to just add a little interest to their daily meals. So they don't just get boring dog food every day. They get something more interesting. All right, so cover that with whatever you want to cover it with. If you have an antique milk bottle like me, I just used a little measuring cup I had. You can use a piece of aluminum foil, whatever you got, and then put it in the fridge. You do want to refrigerate it. I don't let it go longer than 4 days. Okay, so here is what I meant about the coconut milk separating. So this bottle of coconut milk has been sitting in the fridge for about half an hour, and as you can see, it has very distinct layers. Kind of cool. But again, if you don't want it to separate, you can use like guar gum or some other kind of stabilizer to try to keep it more homogeneous in the fridge. You can also add things like agave nectar and flavoring and blend it back after you've strained it to also try to help it stay more homogeneous. But this is just coconut and water the way I do it. And this top layer here is actually solidified. So that is a fat layer. So you can see the fat has separated. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out and use it for like a creamer. We can use it as a creamer in coffee. Because once you put it in a hot material, it'll melt and turn back into a liquid. You can use it as like a butter maybe. It's up to you. But I'm going to use that as like a coconut cream. That is the coconut cream on the top. And the rest, when we're ready to use this milk, all you got to do is... Emma. Sorry, my dog's getting a drink right now. They've been very noisy while I'm trying to videotape. But we're just going to leave the dog drinking sound in. Sorry, I hope you don't mind that. Anyway, once I scrape off this top fat layer and put it in another container, whenever we need to use the coconut milk, we'll just give it a shake. Just a little shake will... I'm not going to shake now because it's too full, a little bit, but it'll just all blend right back together. Give it a little shake before you empty it out and use it. I promise it's good. Just try it. It's delicious. You'll never want to go back to store-bought milk. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you experiment on your own. Try making your own coconut milk, and you can use this same method, this same approximate recipe for any other nut milks. So if you want to make cashew milk or almond milk, Same thing, just soak your nuts overnight before, especially if you don't have a Vitamix. Soak them in water in your fridge overnight, and then use the same method to make your milk. And again, you can add agave nectar, sugar, whatever sweetener you want, vanilla if you want it vanilla flavored, a little tiny bit of salt to give it some complexity, but just experiment. Try it. Get a nut milk bag and go for it. Have some fun. Thanks for watching and have a good week.